Today we are going to record a very small discussion on the title, on the novel whose title is Moth, and the introductory pages. This novel is written by Hamid, and the introductory pages have a tale from the past, and that is linked with the present condition of the people in Lahore, as the novel goes to portray. So we are going to discuss today on this tale, which the writer has put in the very introductory pages of his novel. The tale reads like that. It is said that one evening in the year his stomach was to fail him, the Emperor Shah Jahan asked his Sufi saint what would become of the Mughal Empire. Who will sit on the throne after me? Asked Shah Jahan. Tell me the names of your sons, replied the saint. Dara is my eldest son. The fate of Dara should be asked from Iskandar. The emperor's toes curved beneath him. Shuja is my second son, but Shuja is not Shuja. What about Murad? Murad will not fulfill his Murad. The emperor closed his eyes. Aurangzeb is my youngest son. Yes, said the saint, he will be Aurangzeb. The emperor gazed across the plain at the incomplete splendor of his wife's mausoleum and commanded his workers to redouble their efforts. It would be finished before the war of succession began. The truth of the saint's words became apparent. Aurangzeb was crowned emperor, and he obtained from the theologians a fatwa against his defeated brother, charging Dara Shikoh with apostasy and sentencing him to death. The Alamgir records the incident thus: the pillars of faith apprehended disturbances from Darashiko's life. The emperor, therefore, out of necessity to protect the holy law and also for reasons of state, considered it unlawful to allow him to remain alive. Imprisoned in his fort at Agra, staring at the Taj he had built, an aged Shah Jahan received as a gift from his youngest son the head of his eldest. Perhaps he doubted then the memory that his boys had once played together from his supervision and years ago in Lahore. When the uncertain future becomes the past in turn becomes uncertain. Yesterday, an ordinary man may have been roused from his sleep to sit in the judgment at the midnight trial of an empire. Before him, as he blinked dreams from his lashes, sat a prince accused of the greatest of all crimes, a poet and a pantheist, a possible future. None present were innocent, save perhaps the judge, and perhaps not even he. So, students, that is the introductory text which the writer has used, and let us talk about this in different ways. So, first of all, it's a historical comment that comes from the Mughal Empire. In Jahangir the incident is written that when Shah Jahan was about to die, he had a disease of stomach, as we have the first line saying this. And because of that disease, he was considering that he may die very soon. So he was concerned about the legacy of his empire, and he was also thinking about the succession, as he had many sons, so that he was worried, and he wanted to make a decision to which son, to which prince he should hand over his whole empire. So that is why he went to a saint, as was the fashion at that time, that the Mughal emperors respected, honored, and give a lot of kind of admiration to the saints which were around him. These Sufi saints were famous for their worldly lessness and for their whole worship and for sending the message of Islam to the people. So he went to one of them and sat before him and asked him different questions about his sons who will become the king. When he put the question about the first son, for example, Dara's my eldest son, reply was that he should ask the answer to one Iskandar. And the same was the answer in case of Shuja. The saint said the Shuja was not brave enough. And then it was about Murad. He will not get his Murad, that is expectation, it will not be fulfilled at all, and Aurangzeb would become the king. So in that way, the prophecy comes from the Sufi saint that none of the princes of or Shah Jahan would become the king. Only Aurangzeb, whom possibly didn't like to become king, would become the king. And as soon as the prophecy came to Shah Jahan, he was upset a lot, and therefore he looks at the workers who are working on the mausoleum of his wife, and he started to understand that war would break out because the other princes would also fight. That also goes to talk about the historical aspect of the history of Mughal India, because whenever the king would die, the war of succession would begin, a lot of killings and bloodshed would take place. Same was the case with Shah Jahan, so that is why he wanted that at least the mausoleum of his wife should be constructed. And the prophecy of the same and the expectation of the king became very much true when he saw that Aurangzeb was becoming the crowned emperor, and he got the fatwa in order to finish and annihilate his number one enemy, that was Dara Shikoh. Because Dara Shikoh was not only popular but also was the favorite of the king, and therefore he could be a danger for the empire of Aurangzeb. So that is why he got him killed through the court by running a process, and as a result, Tarashku was also killed. And Shah Jahan, when he was present in his prison, was presented the head of his dead son, and there was something very problematic. And this goes to reflect the bloody history of the thrones of India, and possibly the same history continues today, though the thrones are not only the thrones of the government but also that of the smaller states which the people make, and ultimately even the institutions which the people had. A lot of symbolically speaking, a lot of bloody efforts are made in order to snatch the throne from one person and to be given to the other. Political favors are also given, and in that way, the same injustice continued. And therefore, the writer comments that it's when the uncertain future becomes the past in turn becomes uncertain. So it's all the circle of time that you are living in the present, and as soon as you pass one moment, your present becomes the past, and whatever efforts you are making, these become your you are doing these efforts in order to secure your future. But if the future is uncertain, the present and the past would automatically become uncertain, and in return, this present and past would put a huge influence and impact on the uncertainty which in possibly the future may be. So uncertainty is something which causes political upheavals, revolutionary changes, and the life of the people become uncertain as well, and the satisfaction and the peace of life disappears as soon as the uncertainty is there. Now let's talk about the tale of the day. The Moth Smoke is the modern day tale, and the writer has tried to associate and link it up with the past tales of the struggle between Aurangzeb and Dara. Similar characters we have in this story. Aurangzeb is a rich, wealthy man, son of a business man, and has got a beautiful wife, that is Mumtaz. And Dara is a young man who, first of all, has a job, but later on he loses the job, and then he is at war with whole of the society in order to get his status back. But the society is not ready to give him, so he turns into a different person, and most of the time our standards would call him an immoral and a bad person, because he not only establishes illicit relationship with the wife, the kind of wife of his best friend, and then he tries to snatch money from the society and tries to succeed in the society by selling drugs. So it is his war on the society. In the tale, Dara is killed by the king because he had the absolute power. But in this story of Moth Smoke, Dara becomes a snatcher of his rights from the society, whatever he wanted to get. But the writer gives a lot of comment on that the justice system of that time and justice system of today has got a lot of responsibility to take. If it wants, definitely justice can prevail, but if it is influenced by the power, then justice cannot prevail at all. So that is the kind of connection between these pages, the text, the historical reference which has been given here, and the story of Moth Smoke that we shall be reading. As Alamgir Nama talks about the city of Lahore where his sons were developing, so our current story also is enacted in Lahore, and we will be able to therefore find lots of things about Lahore, about the society, about the divide of the society, and about the power and the power struggles, and about the division of the people who can sleep in the air conditioned homes and the people who have no facility of air conditioning, and the struggle continues. So that is the interpretation of this whole introductory pages. We shall be starting our next lectures with the chapters definitely, and so here it closes. Thank you very much, all of you who have watched this and tried to understand this. So if you like it, do not fail to hit the subscribe button as well as the like button. We shall meet in some next video. Till that time, keep happy, keep peaceful, and enjoy.